Welcome back, MVP Road Car fam. Grab a seat, grab a snack, because today we're diving into a beast that feels like it. Rolled straight out of a comic book panel. And onto the pavement. The 2026 Dodge Viper. Yeah, the name alone is enough to make tire smoke appear out of thin air. And this time, Dodge didn't just try to revive a legend, they basically rebuilt it like someone hit. New Game Plus on American muscle. So picture this thing pulling up. The first feeling you get? Pure menace. The kind that makes you take a tiny step back even though you're kinda in love with it already. The 2026 Viper looks like it's been carved by someone who really understands that cars can be both art and intimidation. The body sits low enough to make ants nervous. And the front end looks like it's inhaling the road before it even reaches it. Dodge didn't go overboard with unnecessary angles or gimmick events. Every line looks like it's there because it has to be. The side profile? Straight up serpentine, like it's coiled even when it's parked. And that hood? Holy drama. Long, sculpted, almost theatrical. You see those massive, functional heat extractors sitting there like they're hiding state secrets. The headlights have this narrowed, predatory stare, the kind where you know if this thing had emotions, it would judge your parallel parking skills. Around the back, the wide fenders flare out in a way that screams horsepower. And the quad exhaust setup sits tucked under a diffuser that probably generates enough downforce to keep you glued to the earth even if you hit Mach 2. Slide inside and you can almost feel the split personality Dodge was going for. Part raging track monster, part yeah, I daily this. The doors open low, but not so dramatic that you need a degree in yoga to get in. The moment you settle into the driver's seat, you can tell Dodge went, okay, we know Vipers used to intimidate people. Let's soften it a hair. Just a hair, though. This is still a cockpit, not a living room. The seats hug you with this perfect balance of comfort and don't you dare move when we hit a corner. Everything is wrapped in Alcantara and leather, but it's not overdone. It feels race-inspired without screaming it in your face. The steering wheel is flat-bottomed, chunky and honestly just fun to hold. One of those wheels that makes you want to rev the engine even, while you're still in the driveway. Front and center you get a massive digital gauge, cluster that shifts, graphics depending on how brave, what drive mode you choose. Track mode transforms everything into sharp, red-tinted aggression. The infotainment screen is bigger too, but Dodge did something smart. They didn't let it take over the entire cabin. It's modern, but not so modern that you forget you're in a performance machine. Physical buttons still exist. Bless them. Now let's talk about the part. You're probably waiting for the part that makes car people suddenly talk with their hands, the performance. Dodge basically said, what if we push this thing further but also don't make it a widowmaker? And honestly, props. Under that absurdly long hood sits a naturally aspirated 8.4 liter V10. Yes, they kept the V10. Dodge heard the noise people make when they talk about electric cars taking over and responded with, not today. This monster pumps out somewhere in the neighborhood of 720. Horsepower and 640 lb-ft of torque. And because this car hates your self-control, all that goes straight to the rear wheels. 0 to 60? Low 3-second range. But numbers don't really tell the story. The moment you hit the throttle, this thing doesn't just move, it lunges. It's got that raw, unfiltered power delivery that modern cars have kind of cleaned up, but the Viper keeps just messy enough to feel alive. You feel the engine vibrating through the cabin in a good way, like it's trying to talk to you or warn you. Either way, it's amazing. The handling is where the new Viper really flexes. Previous generations were kind of like wrestling a bear. Cool to watch, terrifying to attempt. But this 2026 version, it's precise. Still wild, still intense, still sweaty palms terrifying when you push it too far. But now it's actually capable of working with you instead of against you. The new aluminum chassis and lighter suspension components make the car feel surprisingly nimble for how bad boy bulky it looks. Add in upgraded Brembo brakes, an adaptive suspension that reads the road like it's studying for an exam, and aerodynamic tweaks that keep you planted. And the Viper somehow becomes both a track day demon and a semi-reasonable street machine. It's still not the car you want to take on a grocery run unless you like explaining to people why your eggs are now omelets. But it's way more civilized than before. Sound-wise, Honestly, it's unfair to other cars. The V10 roar doesn't sound manufactured or filtered. It's raw, deep, feral. At idle, it grumbles. On throttle, it screams. Downshift! Sound like thunder arguing with itself. If soundtracks were cars, this one would win a Grammy. Now the part everyone always asks, okay, but how much? And yeah, brace yourself because no high-performance snake comes cheap. The 2026 Dodge Viper starts around the mid-$150,000 range. That's the base price, if base is even the right word. Start adding performance packs, carbon fiber goodies, special paints, track aero, better seats. Suddenly you're knocking on 200Ks. Or like you're trying to borrow a cup of sugar. But here's the thing, it's still a bargain compared to what it offers. Because it doesn't try to be some hyper-polished European luxury missile. It's unapologetically American. Big displacement, big attitude, big personality. And for people who want a car that feels alive, dramatic, unpredictable in the best way, this thing's a unicorn. Fuel economy? Look, if you're buying a V10 Viper and ask that question, just know the car is judging you. It drinks, it's thirsty. It's basically a gym bro who only consumes protein shakes. But you don't get a car like this to brag about MPG, you get it to brag about how your spine tingled at 6,000 RPM. Day-to-day comfort is way better than older Vipers. It's quieter inside, the ride isn't backbreaking, and the tech is actually useful now. But it still has quirks. Visibility is, let's call it creative. Storage space is minimal. The turning radius is comedic. But if you're buying a Viper, those things are probably just adorable personality traits to you. So what's the final vibe here? The 2026 Dodge Viper is one of those rare cars that brings back this almost childlike excitement. It looks dangerous. It sounds dangerous. It is dangerous if you disrespect it, but it's also one of the most rewarding machines you can drive. A perfect blend of modern engineering and old-school chaos. Dodge didn't try to reinvent the Viper. They refined it, matured it, made it just civilized enough to attract new fans, but not so tame that the old-school diehards get bored. It still has that wild streak. Still feels like a car that would absolutely start a bar fight. But now it also pays taxes on time and goes to therapy. So yeah, if you've been waiting for a proper American performance comeback story, this snake is slithering right back into the spotlight. And honestly, it deserves it. All right, MVP Road Car fam, that's the full deep dive. If you've got questions, hot takes, Viper memories, or you just want to vent about gas prices, hit the comments. I'll see you in the next one. But until then, keep your engines loud and your roads open.